Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jules T, trainer and coach for the Jules T channel. Today I'm going to start with my second book review. This book, Gordan Ramsay's Humble Pie. I came across this book in my library. It was not a book that I bought personally, but rather a book that my sibling gifted to another sibling. So there was some nice comments written here for I think his 22nd birthday, so he's now 36, so it was more than 10 years ago. When I saw this book, my first impression of Gordan Ramsay through watching his videos that he is a very foul-mouthed celebrity. But nevertheless, there's something about him that really attracted me to watch his series even more. Not because he was foul-mouthed, but rather it was, the way he managed the situation, the way he turned things around. You can actually see that he's very sincere when he's trying to help others. I couldn't stop watching Kitchen Nightmare. My children and I are so addicted to Kitchen Nightmares that we were watching episodes after episodes, even though it was a school night for the kids. So I've written notes at the back of the book, just like Bibi Yusuf, a celebrity that I really admire and really get my inspiration every day from every Instagram post that she posts. I'm so in awe about her success and I wish to emulate myself just like her. I'm nowhere like her, but at least if I can follow some of her footsteps, it can better myself in certain aspects of my life. Let me tell you a bit about him. So he started off talking about his family. He has a brother who is a heroin addict, a drug addict, and he gave him tough times actually, and how he really tried so hard to help his brother to get out of drug addiction. One thing I would advise everybody, anyone, or especially the young people, we know that we are not supposed to do drugs. We are taught in school. But when we are adults, as we go through life, sometimes life poses challenges, or maybe it's peer pressure that it looks so cool to give it a try. I would advise all the young people, or even those who are already in it, there is no future. Even how you see drugs, CBD, how it so-called help people, make you feel calm. Going near it is something no. Even how good they say it is, you never know. Once you get hooked, you cannot never get out. It's just like the song Hotel California. Once you're in, you can never get out. Never put yourself in such a situation. Gordan Ramsay doesn't come from a well-to-do family. His father was not really a role model for him. His father was a drinker, a womanizer, constantly abused his wife. So his mom was the victim of it, and yet, she still stood by him. At the end, he left and his mother was in shambles. He didn't have a roof to live under, and he was constantly had no money, and they were always moving around, changing houses. So for someone like him, not having a stable home, moving around, it was not easy for him to find his footing. But somehow he found passion in something that he loved, which is football. He was British. Football is one of the most popular games in the country, and he was eyed on as one of the potential football players. And he was doing very well, and he was planning for a football career. However, fate had it. He somehow, during one of his training sessions, he ended up with a smashed cartilage, and from there on he couldn't play as well as he could before. His physical disability accident itself marred him from playing football in the professional league. So he was really broken inside because he had nothing, only football, and he was looking for a new challenge. So the thing is about him is that instead of moaning and making himself victim and being depressed, he looked for new opportunities, new challenges. There were not many choices out there for him. He wasn't academically very good. There was not much choices except for a catering course at a local college which was sponsored by the Rotarians. He took whatever that was available to him. So during his time in college, he started to work part-time at restaurants, and there he started as a washer, but he was observing what other chefs were doing, and he was pretty interested at how things were going on in the kitchen. It was there that he first learned how to make sauces for the restaurant, and then he treated his knives and his whites with the exact love he gave to his football boots. That was the kind of commitment that he put into the kitchen. So he was not an A-star student in college, and so he kept his head down and he worked hard. That was the secret of his success. He pushed himself beyond his limits. As you read his stories, you can see how much challenges that he goes through. Restaurant after restaurant, being shouted at, being bullied, having hot pans thrown at him, sauces dripping down his face, and he still persevered. He started from the basic of how things actually work, how to deal with knives, how to cut, how to make sauces, and he didn't find all these demeaning. Instead, he learned and absorbed like a sponge. A word for thought is that it's good if you realize that you're working under the right leader who is able to lead you to the next level. During his work experiences in the restaurant, he met this head chef called Martin. He advised him, get yourself into a decent kitchen like a Michelin star restaurant to learn the ropes of how to cook well. So that prompted him to think about Michelin stars, that's the holy grail of being in this food industry. And at the same time, he found a magazine about this guy called Marco Pierre. At the time when he saw this magazine, he was 19 years old, and this Marco Pierre was someone who worked for all the best chefs in Britain. From there, he started to look for this guy because he knew that this is a good leader, somebody that can help him propel him in his career. He looked for Marco, and Marco said, okay, come for an interview, talk to me. Marco told him the kitchen will be your life, that you will have no social life, you will have no girlfriend, it's low pay, do you want to leave now? And Gordan said no. But reality is most people who are looking at the short term will say yes. Why? I have to do tough work and I get little pay, might as well get some job that pays more. But Gordan was far-sighted, so he knows that if he wants to get into own Michelin restaurants, he has to learn from the best, and he wants to learn from Marco. So at that time, he was working in one of the restaurants, and Marco said, if you want to learn from me, you have to work the next day. At that time, Gordan was working with another restaurant. He needed to give a month's notice. So Marco said, if you really want it, you can find a way to do it. So what happened was during that transition period, he worked 2 jobs. The first job from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then he took a train and got onto the second job, which made him work until 2 a.m. So it was really a crazy time, but he knew what he wanted and he was willing to give his all. So it's something that I also tell my children, don't be a softie, don't be a snowflake. Because in life, if we are always pampered and we are given what we want, and when you go into the real life, and if life doesn't give you what you want, do you just break down and cry? Do you just run away? I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to be able to achieve something that I set out to do. And if some little things bother me, it shouldn't be a reason for me to forget my long-term goal. With Marco, it was like putting his first pair of boots. Felt very low on the ladder because he was working in many restaurants prior to that, and he was actually doing well. He knew how to cook. But when you are working in a Michelin star restaurant, things are different. Things are done differently, and that's why these restaurants can turn into a Michelin star restaurant. So he said, everything I learned, I had to forget. You have to learn to take a lot of challenges, bite a leg, and work even harder. With Marco, mental abuse was there. You never felt you were good enough. He made you feel lousy. He made you feel you're not good enough. He went to a breaking point that he wanted to leave the restaurant, but he really persevered. Gordan's stance is, he doesn't actually bully his staff. Although he gives honest, brutal feedback, but he never mistreat his staff. But working under Marco, he knew that he now needed to take his next step. He needed to spread his wings. So he went to France to gain some experience, because France is a country which is really popular and famous for its food. I remember my last time that I was there, I really enjoyed every meal that I was presented. It was done with so much sincereness, and it was so good. Even though I did not know what I was ordering, whatever was presented to me tastes so good. When he was working in France, it was a place that he learned French. When you start to speak English, you'll find that most of the people there would not respond very well to you. So he started to watch French films to get the accent and pronunciation right, so that he can tell somewhat what to do in the kitchen. That was his commitment when he went to France. He learned the language. To him, even though he was an experienced chef, when he was in France, the French people treated him like nobody. It didn't matter he had the experience. Unless he knew his French, then only the French people could accept him. So he took the challenge to learn the language. It helped him to propel to the next level. So he was promoted in his job as a chef. So the person that he was reporting to was really a difficult person. Somehow, I don't know, the chefs seem to be quite nasty in the kitchen. So he said, the more asshole the person is, the more it kept him going. So look at the bigger picture. The more he trained, the more that will come to his way. So he was making sure he was learning all he can. He was learning like a sponge. When he was in France, he said, you have to work twice as hard if you are an Englishman in a French kitchen. You have to do more than what other people are doing. Even on his off day, he would come in and work for nothing. So he used his time to learn all he can. And that time when he was in France, he won the National Chef of the Year. That was really an amazing achievement. And subsequently, he started his restaurant where he got his first Michelin star at 28 years old. That was really an achievement. And then he started his TV series, Boiling Point, Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen. In 2001, he got his third Michelin star, and that made him so super successful.